Hey there, Big Boss. It's me, Big Boss. Metal Gear Solid 5 might be the best stealth game ever made. No other stealth game has this depth when it comes to dynamic and reactive AI, extreme variety in equipment, and freedom of approach at its missions. Sit in the outskirts and snipe your target, scare everybody with a water gun, strap a nudie mag to a cardboard box, or just crawl past everyone. Metal Gear in general is unmatched when it comes to obscenely minor details having a mechanical impact, from dick punching to snake punching. But in my experience with this series, the freedom of approach leads to two binaries. Generally, you're stealthy as long as you can be, and if you're detected, you either reset immediately or you fight every NPC using a varied arsenal and way too much health. Phantom Pain is the first in the series that I've played that felt like it had pretty good combat. But considering how hard it is for enemies to take you down, combat feels like a cheap win button and isn't as rewarding as stealth. And that sucks, because there's tons of equipment and weaponry in this game I've never touched, despite having hundreds of hours across PC and Xbox over the last 10 years.
Phantom Pain is the type of game that expects you to play in the same save for 100 bazillion hours, meaning it has a lot of progression for you to make your way through.
But that's not how I play games like this. I beat it, and then if I play it again, I'll start from the beginning. I'm not going to grind infinite missions over and over again to upgrade my gun another tier. And that's actually a pretty big heel turn for a series that usually focuses on replayability and on-site procurement. So what's the fix?
Kept you waiting, huh?
Introducing the definitive Subsistence mod by Metal Gear. Like other mods that try the same thing, when enemies are interrogated, they'll drop an item, and they drop their sidearm when threatened. But already you'll find differences. They don't just drop grenades and other throwables. They drop mines, cardboard boxes, night vision goggles, Fulton balloons, and even fucking airstrikes. We'll get to that, but let's cover the basics. They have varied weaponry depending on faction and based on the revenge system. And that system has been completely recontextualized here. In the vanilla game, enemies will slowly build up defenses to counter your playstyle across missions, like wearing helmets to counter headshots, gas masks when you use smoke, or heavy armor when you rely on combat. With the mod installed, these changes don't happen between missions, they happen between encounters. Shoot up a guard outpost and the guards of the objective area will be armed to the teeth.
And there you go, that's your new loop.
Do an encounter, and depending on how you do it, you determine what and how much gear you have access to during the next encounter, and what gear will be up for grabs in that encounter. Let me show you what I mean with an example. I want to clear this guard outpost. It's 4 guys, but I have no gear. I choke out the first guy so I can interrogate him afterward. I crawl behind a guy and knock him down. He's surrendering, but someone noticed. I wait behind cover for them to line up, use my stolen AK to spray them down, and finish off the last guy. A perfect clear would have gotten me a trank, but I managed to keep things from escalating too far and get my hands on a rocket launcher. Next, I ambush a truck and they have night vision because of my earlier stealth clear. Looting them gets me a grenade and some pentazomin. When I get to the outpost, I use a sandstorm to rush the objective, but quickly end up in a fight afterward. Seeing their helicopter, I remember that I got a flare grenade earlier, and I use it to call in my own chopper, then I use the rocket I got earlier to blow up their helicopter. Unfortunately, one of them spawned with a grenade launcher and used it to drop my helicopter before I can clear the base.
I sneak along the outside until I see a sniper on the roof.
But all I have to hit him with is my unsilenced AK. But I remember that I picked up pentazomin earlier and used it to steady my aim. I aim, and I fire. Never in a normal playthrough would I carry those pills, or those rockets, or waste a slot on a helicopter grenade. The scarcity and variety this mod provides completely changes the way you play the game. And this isn't my only example. At one point, I needed to destroy an enemy radio receiver, but I didn't have any C4, meaning I'd have to shoot it and give away my position to break it. Then I remembered that I picked up a Molotov earlier in the mission. And while it does draw some attention, it doesn't raise an alert. In hundreds of hours, I have never brought a Molotov into this game, ever. Because I have equipment that I like and I use that instead. There's a ton of examples like this. I never used shotguns when rifles were an option. I got pushed into grabbing one during a fight when I ran out of ammo during a mission.
And I found out they're extremely good.
Later when I got to OKB0, I found a suppressed shotgun and I rejoiced. A super simple example that might be my favorite was when I needed to clear a room that I knew had 2 enemies in it, but they were too far from the door for me to just melee them. The only piece of equipment I had on me was a rifle I'd taken from one of the enemies on site, but that rifle had a flashlight. I opened the door, blinded them both, and used melee to take them both down. This mod encourages thinking about the tools you have available to you and how you can use them.
I wanted to draw an enemy's sightline away from a target so I could plant C4.
During normal gameplay, I could just throw a magazine to draw their attention, but I didn't have any. So I was forced to use a grenade instead. It still functioned as a distraction with the downside of alerting the guards to an attack. Again, this is something I've never done before. Because of this mod, I'm learning new mechanics. Again, a dozen playthroughs or something in, I learned you can dive into an enemy and then follow it with a holdup. Normally, I would just shoot an enemy in the head or grab them, but now, since I need to pull off as many interrogations as possible to get more gear, it's a clean way to lower an enemy's visual profile without killing them. And that shit's important. If you can't interrogate enemies, you're going to be very behind when it comes to getting missions completed. The few missions in Africa before you unlock an interpreter were a nice hardcore change of pace, and thankfully they didn't last too long.
Speaking of things that last a long time, 10 years isn't just how long we've been playing Phantom Pain, it's also how long you can warranty parts for your chair from the sponsor of this video, Flexispot. They sent me their 67 Max and it's a snazzy piece of kit.
Before this, I mostly got cheapo chairs from generic internet retailers, and this is easily the best office chair I've ever had. This thing has a ton of customizability to set everything up the way you want it. The armrests rotate in 2 different ways, and they make a sweet ratchety clicking sound for the stimmy enjoyers among you. Because of this flexibility, I can use them to support my arms with a controller, support my elbows with keyboard and mouse, and push them out of my way when I'm cozied up under a blanket or something. Or move them way to the side when I'm completely and totally locked in. In addition, the lumbar support has a bunch of positions as well for the tall and short amongst you. It supports the sacrum, and I won't pretend to know the science of it, but what I can say is it's definitely comfortable. You know when you lay down in a bed after a day that wasn't so good for your back and you can feel the area finally resting? I get that same feeling when I lay my back into this chair. I spend a lot of time at my desk, and it occasionally gets rough on my knees, but not anymore because of the secret compartment with leg rest. Are you kidding me? I've been considering buying a leg rest for months, but the built-in one is super comfortable and easy to stow away when you don't need it. Even the headrest is the most adjustable I've seen on an office chair. Look how much range of motion that has. Whether you're waiting in a queue, watching a movie, or you just can't bear to lift your head anymore, work and play are both enhanced with this chair and its ability to deeply recline when needed. If you're on a limited budget, the C5 still has the adjustable lumbar support and 120 degrees of reclining. On the other hand, the C7 Morpher pushes those features even farther, with depth adjustment and their trademarked gliding backrest to track your posture as you recline. If any of that sounds good to you, you can try a chair for 30 days with a risk-free trial, and if you decide to keep it, you can replace damaged parts for a decade with their 10-year warranty. Use the link in the description and use the code C730 to save $30 off your new favorite office chair. Once again, that's code C730 to save $30 off your chair from Flexispot. And thanks to Flexispot for supporting my back and this video. This mod does a great job of making things harder, but making them more rewarding in the process. You can't just trank everyone unconscious for easy non-lethal play, but you do want to be non-lethal since you need it to get more stuff. Another example. This has since been patched since you could originally get soft-locked if you had bad rolls, but the early mission called Back Up, Back Down is the test case for how this mod changes gameplay. In normal gameplay, it's all about movement. You need to blow up a series of tanks, but only one to pass the mission. Normally what that means is rushing to the nearest thing, blowing it up, and then if you run out of rockets or C4, just call in more. Using every second of the timer, I managed to get 3. I found out during this mission that tanks and APCs have a flat health amount, so any form of damage counts as damage. So when the infantry mines I used weren't enough to destroy it, I had to finish one off with a machine gun. Later on, I found myself with a single rocket that I needed to use to blow up an APC. While planning my ambush, I bumped into an enemy Jeep. I killed the crew and left the Jeep in the roadway, knowing that the APC would stop for it. My next problem was that a single rocket isn't enough to destroy an APC. So I waited for the vehicles to line up and used the secondary explosion from the Jeep to push the damage over the edge and destroy the first vehicle. Again, in normal gameplay, you don't just get C4 or rockets, you get an infinite supply of them. Scarcity rewards creativity, and this mod provides that. And the line between a stealth gadget and a loud one can get pretty blurry. Quiet's loud sniping can be very useful for drawing attention away from you. C4 makes noise. An airstrike can disable the enemy air radar while pulling guards off of your objective. But what's to stop you from just shooting everyone? This game's combat still isn't hard, and the stealth is pretty forgiving. Well, as an optional download, you can get the Ground Zeroes hard mod, and this is the most important part of the experience in my mind. Damage taken is greatly increased without it feeling like bullshit. You have the health of a stealth game protagonist, so a few shots won't do you in, but you'll want to use cover and avoid snipers. It's not just a health mod though. Noticing range is a lot farther unless you wear the right camo. And guess what? That camo can be acquired in the field like everything else. Cardboard boxes allow for camo switching and can be looted from enemies. These camos don't just prevent detection. Different outfits have different abilities viewable on the mod page. The sneaking suit activates the intel team, battle dress upgrades Fultons, and the 3 new cardboard boxes allow for the trank to be upgraded. You can use it to break glass, have an infinite suppressor, or become semi-automatic. I think you're just robbing yourself if you play without the hard mod. Making the combat harder while making it more likely removes the cheapness that it used to have. Phantom Pain with these mods plays more like a guerrilla warfare game than the other games I've played while specifically seeking those out. Shooting, disappearing, and moving are common tactics I employ, and I also die a lot. This has a flip side though. When I found an airstrike on an enemy, I didn't just use it despite never using them in regular gameplay. Now my mindset was the opposite. I didn't feel guilty for using it. I would have felt guilty for not using it, since now it was a rare opportunity to use a useful item while I still had it. This applies to every powerful item you get. Oh, an armor-piercing sniper rifle? This isn't ruining my game balance, this is finally letting me get those armored up motherfuckers a piece of my mind. Let me take you through another one of my favorite missions on the OSP playthrough. There's a camp. In the camp are 2 sets of 2 walker gears. You need to blow them up. This took me an hour and a half to complete due to the density of enemies and lack of equipment. I tried tons of different ways and approached from every angle, and attempting to dismantle the puzzle in front of me pushed my management of the sandbox as far as it's ever gone. I crawled, I shot, I moved, I waited, I threw, I planted, I hijacked. This shit was so fun, and it was the confirmation I needed to make this video. Even boss fights are different here. Quiet isn't a 1v1 me on Rust intervention only fight anymore. Now you have to sneak up on her to get her to drop her gun. Then the actual sniping part is quick and easy. It's way more like the end fight than the original Quiet fight, and it's way more of a sniper duel than the quick scope match in the original game. The same applies to Sniper Skulls. No more shooting everyone, you actually have to sneak up on one first. Also, remember how in one cutscene those motherfuckers can summon bullpups using parasite nanomachine bullshit magic? Now you can use that to your benefit to arm yourself in the Skull boss fight. And this fight is the one where if you haven't noticed, you will. Unused tracks from the soundtrack have been implemented. Honestly, they're a bit much for me, but they're in character for the series if you remember things like the Snake Eater ladder and Paz's fight being to J-pop for some reason. Unfortunately, I haven't mentioned the mod's biggest problem. This mod is not compatible with Infinite Heaven. If you mod this game, you know why that's a really big deal. On its own, Infinite Heaven is the single biggest resource for customizing this game to be the way you want. Custom damage, custom detection, custom enemy types, Bob's your uncle. And possibly more importantly, it's a modding resource that allows for custom outfits that aren't replacers, extra side ops, and even porting Gitmo from Ground Zeroes. It's a lot to give up for a single mod, but the game's mod loader Snakebite has a solution for you. You can save entire mod loadouts, meaning you can have a separate OSP setup and switch between sets whenever you want.
You're pretty good.
Normally I would have brought this up at the beginning, but it turned me off the mod at first, and I ended up loving it so much that I made this video, so I don't want that to happen to you. I'm not really one for the Metal Gear story. It has its moments, but it's a bit much for me. Phantom Pain, though, is the furthest the gameplay has ever been taken, and the Ultimate Subsistence mod is the most I've gotten out of that gameplay in the decade this game has been out. I can't recommend this mod and this game in general highly enough. Stealth game controls peaked with this game, and nothing has come close. Allow me to take a moment to thank my patrons and channel members. Both get sponsor-free access to videos as they're completed, as well as a custom role on Discord and access to my Google Drive. Special thanks to Yato God, Bryson Cottrell, Mythic Wombat, Vishal, Harris Broach, Stefan, Sark Malark, Submarine Guy, Mariano Rebufo, Hayden, Robert Lucas, Days Canadian, Sea Trouble, Keiko Weeb, Amanda Lick, Sepast, and Cookie. Of course, thank you all for watching, and as always, subscribe to my fucking YouTube